When you look at some of the incredible achievements of the ancient world, things that are still standing today, it's so easy to imagine they had some kind of secret weapon, right? Some lost super technology. But what if the real secret wasn't a forgotten machine at all, but a forgotten way of knowing something? That's the idea we're going to dig into today.
I mean, it's a question that really gets you thinking. You look at the Pantheon in Rome, still sporting the largest unreinforced concrete dome in the entire world, and it's been there for nearly 2,000 years. Meanwhile, our modern concrete structures can start to degrade in, 50 years? It just begs the question, how did they pull that off?
Yeah, the go-to answer, the one you hear all the time, is that they must have had some kind of advanced tech that just got lost to time, probably during the Dark Ages. And look, it's a cool idea, a very seductive one. But the thing is, the archaeological evidence for these mysterious supermachines, it just isn't there. The real answer is a little more subtle and honestly way more impressive.
Okay, so to really get to the bottom of this mystery, we need to make a really crucial distinction. We tend to throw the words knowledge and technology around like they're the same thing, but they're fundamentally different. And understanding that difference, well, that's the key to unlocking the real genius of the ancient world. So let's break this down. Think of technology as the hardware. It's a physical thing you can touch, a tool, a machine, a computer, and making it leaves behind a footprint. Factories, specialized waste, and of course the objects themselves. But here's the catch. Metal in the ancient world was incredibly valuable. If a machine broke, it wasn't just tossed out. It was almost certainly melted down and recycled into something else. That's a big reason we so rarely find them.
Lost knowledge, though. That's a whole different animal. This is the software. It's the how-to. It's that unwritten technique, the feel for a process that a master craftsman has, the little insights passed down from teacher to apprentice. This kind of know-how is stored in people, not in objects. And that, right there, is what makes it so incredibly fragile.
And this chart lays out the problem perfectly. You can find a piece of hardware, the what, and you can study it, you can take it apart, maybe even reverse engineer it. But the how, that knowledge, it just vanishes with the last person who has it. It's kind of like a secret family recipe that was never written down. Once grandma's gone, the exact method, the little tricks, they might be lost forever.
So let's put this idea to the test. Let's look at our first case study, the legendary durability of Roman concrete. This isn't a story about some lost, superpowered concrete mixer. It's the story of a lost chemical recipe, a completely forgotten process. The difference here is, it's just staggering. Roman seawalls and piers, getting battered by ocean waves for 2 millennia, are actually stronger today in some cases than when they were first built. Modern marine concrete is lucky to last half a century in that same environment. So what was their secret?
Well, it turns out it wasn't a single magic ingredient, but the method they used. Researchers only recently figured this out. The Romans used a technique they're now calling hot mixing. Instead of the modern way, where you pre-mix lime with water, they mixed highly reactive quicklime directly with dry volcanic ash. Then, when they added seawater, the whole thing kicked off a powerful chemical reaction, generating a ton of heat and creating these unique features inside the concrete.
And the result of that hot mixing process are these little, bright white chunks you see here. They're called limeclasts. For years, scientists saw these and just assumed they were signs of sloppy mixing. But it turns out, they're the complete opposite. They are the secret ingredient. They're a deliberate and frankly brilliant part of the design.
And this is where it gets truly amazing. The very seawater that chews up and destroys modern concrete, it actually heals Roman concrete. As tiny cracks form over the centuries, water seeps in. It finds those limeclasts, reacts with them, and grows brand new mineral crystals that literally stitch the cracks shut. The material uses its greatest enemy as its medicine, getting stronger and stronger over time. It's just incredible.
So if this stuff was so great, why on earth did we lose it? Well, when the Western Roman Empire started to crumble, those massive state-funded building projects just stopped. The trade routes that brought that very specific volcanic ash all the way from Italy to the rest of the empire were broken. With no demand and no materials, the Guild of Master Builders who held this secret knowledge just had no one to pass it on to. The recipe was simply forgotten.
Okay, so Roman concrete is a perfect example of a lost process. But the Antikythera mechanism, well, this seems like the poster child for lost technology. It's a complex machine, way ahead of its time, But the real mystery here isn't the object itself, it's the entire tradition of knowledge that could have possibly made it. This thing was found in a shipwreck from the 1st century BCE. It's so sophisticated that nothing even close to its complexity would be seen again for about 1,400 years. Not until the great astronomical clock started appearing in medieval European cathedrals. It's just a shocking leap in the timeline of technology. Can you imagine? It just sat on the seabed for 2,000 years, looking like a corroded lump of bronze. It was only with advanced X-rays and imaging technology, really in our lifetime, that scientists were finally able to peer inside and begin to understand its true purpose, and its just astonishing complexity.
So what did it do? This shoebox-sized device was, for all intents and purposes, a mechanical computer. You turn a handle, and its incredible system of over 30 bronze gears could predict the positions of the planets, the timing of eclipses, and even tell you the schedule for the next Olympic Games. It was a mechanical model of their entire universe.
But here's the real head-scratcher. An object this complex could not have been a one-off. You don't just invent something like this from scratch. It had to be the peak achievement of a long tradition of science and masterful craftsmanship. There must have been workshops and teachers and earlier, simpler versions. And yet, this is the only one we've ever found. The entire tradition that built it seems to have just vanished into thin air.
So you start to see the pattern here, right? Both the Roman concrete and the Antikythera mechanism are telling us the exact same story. They are monuments to these incredibly sophisticated systems of knowledge, and their disappearance shows us, in stark terms, just how fragile that knowledge can be.
You see, knowledge disappears when the society that supports it breaks down. When institutions collapse, you lose funding for the big projects. When your master craftsmen die in a war or a plague without training apprentices, their unique skills just die right along with them. If knowledge is only passed down by word of mouth, one broken link in that chain can mean it's gone for good. And when trade routes get severed, you can't even get the materials you need. That whole chain of transmission is just so easily broken.
And don't for a second think this is just some ancient history problem. In the early 2000s, the US government had refurbished some of its nuclear warheads. And they realized they'd forgotten how to make a crucial secret material called fog bank. Even with all the manuals and documentation, the hands-on, tacit knowledge of the original engineers who had all retired or passed away was gone. They had to spend millions of dollars just to reinvent their own invention from 30 years prior.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's that the ancients didn't have magical tools or secret alien technology. What they had were these deep, incredibly nuanced systems of knowledge, passed from person to person. That sophistication was their greatest strength, but it was also their greatest vulnerability. Ultimately, looking at these monuments of the past, it really reminds us of a profound truth. Progress isn't some guaranteed one-way street. The hardware, the tools, they can last for millennia. But it's the human software, the knowledge of how to build, how to create, and how to understand our world that truly defines a civilization. And that knowledge depends completely on our ability to pass it on.